Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, the 11th of March 2021. It is the prodigious, the prominent professor at Proclamation News and Gatherance. Give me 2 seconds. I've got my microphone tied up here. Loyal you ever so much for coming through, supporting the show. Appreciate it. If you ever want to do any netiquette research with what's going on around the globe, please feel free. We're going to Meghan Markle and Harry today again. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry today. Flux with a flow and flux with a show. So we're going to get through to see what's the insight of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I think it's something about Prince Philip saying something about the royal family not fascist. Meghan and Harry interview. Royal family very much not racist, says William. The Duke of Cambridge has said the royals are very much not a racist family. His first comments following accusations by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in a TV interview. Speaking on a visit in East London, Prince William said he had not yet spoken to his brother, but will do so. Buckingham Palace previously said the claim royal family member expressed a concern. Buckingham Palace previously said the claim a royal family member expressed concern over the Sussex's unborn baby's skin colour was concerning. The matter will be addressed privately. So Prince Philip's back in the royal family, saying they're not a fascist, racist family. It's important that you hear it from both sides of the fence because people can get knickers into it and all jump on the bandwagon. In a statement, the palace said recollections may vary, but that the Sussexes would always be much loved family members. As he departed a school in Stratford alongside his wife, the Duchess of Cambridge, on Thursday, Prince William was asked by a reporter, "Is the royal family a fascist family, sir?" The Duke replied, "We're very much not a racist family." Asked whether he had spoken to Prince Harry since the opera interview, Prince William said, "No, I haven't spoken to him yet, but I will do." It's important that Prince Philip gets, airs or distresses, the concerns of his brother thinking they're racist. In the TV interview, Meghan told Oprah Winfrey that Prince Harry had been asked by an unnamed family member how dark their son Archie's skin might be. I mean, is that racist asking that? It's just not, it's just a normal question, isn't it? Both Prince Harry and Meghan refused to say who made the comment, but Harry later clarified to Oprah that it was not the Queen or the Duke of Edinburgh. He also said it hurt that his family never spoke out about the colonial undertones of the news headlines and articles. And asked by Oprah if the couple left the UK because of racism, Harry replied, "It was a large part of it." Is that racist asking though? I don't know. Depends what tone you're asking, Pratt. Harry might have took it widely the wrong direction. Took it as criticism rather than just a normal accusation. In the interview, Harry also spoke about his relationship with his family, especially with his father, the Prince of Wales, and both brother Prince William. After stepping back as senior royals, Harry said, "Charles, stop taking my calls." And of William, Harry said, "The relationship is space at the moment, and time heals all things, hopefully." Put it this way, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's baby is going to come out my colour. If not, it's whiter than me. That's because mum's half West Indian. There you go. Anyway, and Meghan Markle's not even half. COVID-19. UK hasn't banned export on vaccines, says Prime Minister. Boris Johnson has corrected European President Charles Michel after he claimed the UK had posed an outright ban on the export of COVID-19 vaccinations. Speaking at Prime Minister's question, Mr Johnson said the government had not blocked any sales to other countries. We had this yesterday, but I'm going back through it. Mr Mark Wright said about the claim that UK's position was based on facts, but the Foreign Office summoned an EU official to explain what it called the President's incorrect assertions. The argument our vaccine exports comes at a time when European leaders are under pressure over the slow distribution. In the UK, meanwhile, more than 22.5 million people, around a third of the population, have received their first dose. Mr Johnson told MPs he was proud of the progress made, adding that the UK has also donated 548 million to the COVAX initiative set up to distribute vaccines around the world. The Gavi Vaccines Alliance, which co-runs the scheme, told the BBC this would pay for more than 700 million, about 2 billion doses expected to be given this year. Mr Johnson said he wanted to correct the suggestion from the European Council President that the UK has blocked vaccine exports, adding, "Let me be clear, we have not blocked the export of a single COVID-19 vaccine or vaccine components." Mr Johnson said he was against vaccine nationalism in all its forms and called on all countries to work together to tackle this pandemic. Analyst by Nick Beak, Brussels correspondent. After heavy criticism over their handling of procurement and delivery of vaccines, the EU leaders are trying to point out the bigger picture. Charles Michel paints the EU as leading the effort to vaccinate the globe. Analysts by the New York Times suggest the EU exported 25 million doses in February despite production problems in Europe, and the 8 million of these were dispatched to the UK. Brussels bosses remain deeply frustrated. The UK is, as they see it, racing to vaccinate its own citizens before thinking about the wider world. London rejects this. Mr Michel bitterly disrupted outright ban. Claims follows Ursula von der Leyen's assertion last month that Britain had a system that effectively blocked the export of vaccines. But the European Commission's chief spokesman said he was aware of no restrictive measures concerning vaccines leaving the UK. In his weekly briefing now on Tuesday, Mr Michel said the United Kingdom and the United States have imposed an outright ban on the export of vaccines or vaccine components produced on their territory. After the UK government insists what was not true, Mr Michel tweeted that there were very different ways of imposing bans and restrictions on vaccine medicines, but he did not elaborate on this. At the European Commission's press briefing in Brussels, spokesman Eric Mamer declined to comment on Mr Michael's statements. He added that Mr Johnson and Commission President Ursula von der Leyen had a phone call some time ago, during which he had assured her the UK did not have any issues when it came to the delivery of vaccines to the European Union. The EU was a very, very active exporter of vaccines, and that is not necessarily the case of all the partners. Mr Mamer said, UK vaccines are being made in Britain and Belgium. There you go. We've got Oxford Biomedical Centre, Cobra Biologics, Keeley, Wock Heart Facility in Wrexham and in London. In Belgium, you've got Pfizer Production Plant in Pures, which is near Brussels Airport. It goes from Brussels Airport to Eurotunnel to the UK. There you go. The EU has faced production problems with the Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, and Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines. In January, it introduced a system of controls on exports requiring manufacturers to seek permission from national governments for planned sales. The EU has also drafted regulations which would have overridden the Northern Ireland Protocol. Agreed with the UK last year, potentially allowing it to stop vaccines bound for Northern Ireland, but it's backed down for following widespread criticism. Essex Live. Going to Essex Live. And we have a short break, guys. Michael Keegan and Mark Wright. The couple have a few setbacks along the way. Lovely couple, Mark Wright and Michelle Keegan. Perfect match. He's a handsome gentleman and she's a beautiful woman. That's what I'd like to suggest. Perfect match. Michelle Keegan and Mark Wright have sold their Essex mansion, which was their first home they bought together in 2003. The couple's stone 5-bedroom home, which has its own gym, a large garden and spacious living, has been snapped up by new owners, according to reports. The pair, both 33, sold their expensive Epping Forest pad after they purchased a large plot of land where their house worth 1.3 million on it, which the former Towie star and Mancunian Michelle and Mark put their home on the market last October for 1,780,000. It was believed that the couple submitted plans to build their new home back in February 2020, including the additions of the ground floor bar, gym, TV room, study, outdoor swimming pool, and playroom, according to the Mail Online. However, it is believed that they have faced a setback in January after the local council told them their plans for the mansion were too big. Mark and Michelle had their planning application approved last year, but the second attempt was declined due to the fact they wanted to make the home even bigger. Despite the setback, the pair have since sold their old luxury Essex pad for their own new build home. Showing that the couple has exchanged contracts, a source told The Sun. It was their first time together and building their dream home. Revealing that the actress Insider added they wanted to share that with their fans, so they started an Instagram and overall want to follow their journey. Must be a nice feeling being an A-class celebrity. Mr. Monaco just came in with. That was very nice, smart car that you got. Was that Mahama? Mr. Monaco, how you doing there? Bloody old fellow. How you doing, mate? You good? Just radio like always with my radio, with my politics, my journalism. I can break anyway, so thought I'd chat for a bit. Chat for a bit, 10 minutes. What are you up to today? You working? No, you're not working today. I'm just trying to get my hours in, so for me to do my hours, I have to read. No. Okay. Then you have down this day as well. Couple of days break. Yeah, I'll read for an hour every time I come on live. I have to read for an hour. Keeps you focused, doesn't it? Keeps you focused. I'm like, I just sit here, just not the way people I know come on live. Sometimes I'll keep the conversation going. Keep the conversation going. Although I'm reading a lot of books, tell stories, something I don't want to do. But not everyone's interested in what I'm interested in, like criminal law, family law books, politics. Not everyone's interested in that. People are more interested in like TV programs, isn't it? The only way is Essex and celebrity get me out of here. When's the next big game? When's the next big game, Malaka? I'm spoiled up. Should be that one.
No, I think I believe in the right to be allowed to have an opinion. If people want to believe Meghan Markle, that's entirely their right. I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth. I think that is done to the British monarchy and the Queen.
Yeah, I've been still
Right, is enormous. Frankly, anyway. So I have to put all of my sword when spreading the opinion. Have Meghan Markle and her diatribe of Bill came out with yeah, that was all very amicable. It sounded like a thing, and we agreed to disagree. Stop trashing the royal family. You make enough money off their titles and the shaving. People's going to give it my opinion. That's entirely their right. I make my opinion clear about what I think about mental health. I'm not saying it. People can go and see that in the past. That's how I'm experiencing. Like the woke crowd will have thought they think that they've cancelled. I think they'll be rather disappointed when I re-emerge. I would call it a temporary hibernation. But of course, my opinions remain my opinions. They can't silence that. I've got lots of other jobs. If you're worried about me going hungry, you don't need to worry. It's good to see you again, by the way. Cheers, guys. I better get going. We'll see you later.
arcade games gone our own unique way. So there are great games you won't find anywhere else. It's about community, so you can join in the chat. And we're all about playing safely, so you're in control. Because at Tomorrow Arcade, keeping it about the fun is a big deal.
Tradespeople, it's so easy to find new customers at mybuilder.com. Sign up for a free trade profile. You get alerts from customers near you post suitable jobs. Go for the ones you're interested in, and only pay if the customer chooses you. You'll get real customer feedback on your profile. That will help you win even more work. It's easy to get the work you want.
Perhaps important of finding a different way to explain, not to you, But to so many people, on why what is being said is so wrong.
Right.
I walked into institutions as the only person of color and experienced comfort on so many occasions, and why the Meghan interview resonated not of this show asked me if I was worried about the shade of cocoa that my son was going to come out.
Right.
So I fully understand the hurt that is behind all of that.
Right. Let me.
And when you're mixed race, what you find, in my personal experience, and there may be other people that they come forward and say this, is that when you are a lighter shade of black, people gain confidence and feel that they can say things to you that they wouldn't say to a black person. That's such a and that is my experience.
Right, and that's why I wanted to get you on the program today, because my suggestion to have you on to talk about it. Right?
And thank you so much for having me on the program. I really appreciate it. But I just want you also to be aware of the power of your words. And I'm not saying that you're a racist, but what
are you saying?
Do you know what I honestly feel? I feel as though because of your previous relationship with Meghan Markle, you tried to find a relationship, but you met up with her, you knew her.
I knew her briefly.
So we joked about it on the show.
All that did was so I'm allowed to speak. Okay, so all that did was inform me that she's a bit of a cut and run.
Right.
Throughout her life, all her family, her father, her ex-husband, her ex-friend, they've all been cut out of her life, right? And it's an interesting observation that I have been one of those people.
Interesting observation. Let me feel. Can I finish the situation? I'm struggling.
If we can have this conversation.
You've got to let me talk.
Talk.
Right. Can we talk about the program? It doesn't really matter what I think of Meghan Markle. It doesn't matter whether I believe her or not. What matters is the damage that she is accused of doing to the royal family. Let me ask you honestly, on the issue of race, she has now got the whole of America and the worst of the world, frankly, looking upon the palace, the monarchy, the Queen, everyone in the royal family as a bunch of racists. And it all comes down to two things that she said in the interview. One is something she didn't hear, that Harry reported back to her, right? That a senior member of the royal family, that wasn't the Queen or Prince Philip, so presumably is either Charles or William, who we hazard a guess, has made a comment to Harry about what colour skin his baby may be with the relationship with Prince.
There was concern about the way in which that
hang on, that's my question for you. She said there was concern. Harry didn't say that. And my question for you is this, and it's a straight question that a lot of people are asking. Because you've been in this position, right? And you've been equally offended.
On the receiving end of that.
Is there a qualitative difference between somebody perhaps innocently saying to you, out of interest, if you have one parent is white, one parent is black, you know, what colour could your baby be? Let me finish. What colour could your baby be? Is there a difference between that question phrased in that innocent perhaps, and somebody doing it in a tone that says, well, how dark is your baby going to be? Well, in a derogatory and perhaps racist
tone? Exactly, and there is a difference. But what we're getting from the interview is that it was said in a negative way.
He said that, but he didn't do it.
Listen, stop separating Harry and Meghan. They are a team, quite clearly, a very strong team. And I do believe that she backs him up and he backs her up.
Right.
So, and like I said, tone and language is everything. When it was said, the key word was, are you worried?
Right.
Right. Okay.
But that to me is
there's a big difference.
That to me is racist.
But that's what it is racist.
Do you think it's racist? It's a legitimate question many people have asked. Is it racist, you think? If for argument's sake it was William or Charles, let's not put it there. We don't know. Part of the problem, I know you agree with me about this, the easier thing to say who it was. Right? I'll come to that. But is there a difference? If it was said, perhaps in all innocence, right? And they just said, well, what colour baby might you have? Without any suggestion of being a concern or a worry if it had darker skin. Would that in itself, would that question be racist?
In itself, it's fine, but you have to think about how it feels on the receiving end, because what we're speculating as to how that message.
I don't know how it's communicated.
Right,
what I would say is,
but
if the blood is a worry or
more than have to take into consideration how it felt. The other thing that we also have to think about, and I publicly said this on Twitter, is I agree with you now that I feel that they should have name the person, because all it's led to is all of us asking loads of questions. And I personally am looking at the royal family as to which one who's the racist. Who's the racist? But again, we have to also just take a step back. Do you know how much courage it takes to actually speak about racism, to actually call it out? Because I've been in situations where I haven't called out every single bit of racism that's happened to me based on how I've been treated or how it was handled in the past.
Because you're worried about a backlash.
And you're also worried about a backlash. And there will be people that will treat Harry and Meghan differently because they've spoken out. Okay, but this is the whole thing. We've got to get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. And that's why it's important for me and you to have conversations.
But let's just not make it personal. It's fine.
It's not personal.
You make it personal. Well, let's move on.
You know what? It's hard because I don't know what we talk personally about people on this show, and we give our opinions on them, don't we? So actually sometimes it does come back at you. We have to be,
it's fine. It's just the way it's done. We can disagree about that. Move on. Well, I don't think people really care too much about you and me. It's like, what I'm talking about
me and you, and I'm not here because
let's not talking about me and you then. Let's move on to the second part of their charge of racism. Meghan Markle said that there was a decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin colour. That is completely untrue. That's just not true. Now, the damaging effect of that, plus whatever may have been said to Harry, we don't know what it was or the context, we don't know who said it, but it was those two things that detonated as you know, a racially charged bomb at the palace, which is almost impossible for them to repeat because they don't talk in public about this kind of thing. And people aren't probably going to believe them even if they do now. But that's what concerns me, is that the first part of that allegation, we don't know anything of the details, who said it or how they said it. And the second one is completely untrue. Meghan has got it wrong. Archie hasn't been prevented from being prince because of his skin colour. And that's been now believed by Americans on national television, and that is damaging.
But again, you know what? It's their lived experience, and
no, it's not true.
Well, it's their lived experience, and again, this is where the confusion comes in. How do you sometimes identify covert racism? It's actually quite hard because it's not there.
But Alex, on that one, it's not true.
I know, but
covert racism.
What you're saying is there are facts,
right?
And what Alex is saying is there is an experience and a perception of those facts that you only appreciate when you're in that situation.
No, I'm sorry. On that second part, on the first part, I agree. If it turns out, let me make it crystal clear where I stand on this. If it turns out that a senior member of the royal family, a future king perhaps of this country, we don't know who it is. I don't want to cast it. The aspersions have been cast if they won't say, but they haven't eliminated the Queen and Prince Philip. So they've gone halfway, which I think is incredibly unfair on the ones who are left. To say it is a future king that said this in a derogatory way. We can't have a racist king. We can't. So that to me would be racism. I think they said wrong. But the second part of the charge that Archie has been banned from being a prince because of his skin colour is just untrue. It's nothing to do with racism. The fact itself on which you base that claim is not true.
Except her perception appears to be that it might be.
Well, it's like you saying the sky is blue outside. My perception is it's raining. You can't go around with facts. She got the facts wrong on them. It's been demonstrated today in every paper. That fact is simply untrue. There's been no discrimination against Archie in terms of being called a prince because of his skin colour. Because he's not entitled at the moment to be called a prince. The rules of the palace set by 100 years ago.
At least she's explaining her experience.
Exactly, she's explaining her experience of it, and you know what? We've not walked in her shoes, so I
don't care what experience is. The facts you're basing on wrong.
It's entitled to your perception.
None of that facts or not.
And that's also coming to
yeah, but Alex, on that one, you're not entitled to. I don't care about her feelings.
Okay, but what concerns me more is the comment about the colour of the baby.
Right.
Right. Okay. We all feel passionate about different things. Okay. We've not even spoken about the mental health and all of that. We'll come to that. But it's really important that we have these conversations, because what I've noticed on Twitter, particularly over the last few days, is that this interview and what's happening with the royal family, the ripple effect, even to the point where he me and you are here, we feel so passionately about it, and it's great.
I genuinely feel.
And I want to talk about it, and I do feel is that, you know, yeah, of course, if we find out who it is, I'm sure, you know, you will be right behind me, and I'll be right behind you, yeah, you know, talking about how wrong it is and how, you know,
No question
whatsoever. But what I find is that people are, you know, don't always want to accept that it's a possibility that something like this has happened. And this is the thing with racism, right? Racism isn't always caught on camera. Racism isn't always a black man laying on the floor with a white police officer knee in his neck. It comes in all different shapes. What I want to see is the same energy that we had back in the summer, right now.
Yes, but okay, but let me just put a little dampener on this, right? One of the two charges of racism, perhaps the most incendiary, that actually he was being discriminated against because the Queen signed all the Bibles. So what she was basically saying is the Queen's a racist who stopped arguing being a Prince because of his skin colour. We know that is completely untrue. So
I don't know that the Queen's a racist. I would like to think that the Queen is not a racist.
Right.
I don't think she is a racist.
My point is that,
Okay, but he's obviously got a difficult relationship.
No, but Alex,
This is no ordinary family kid. Because, you know, as you heard from the
but Alex, do you accept on that point Meghan just got it wrong?
Like I said, I am not an expert on royal protocol. Right. I am not an expert.
The expert
on
you are all said. You know,
It's all said, but again, they said something different. Yes, I'm happy to listen to both sides. They feel a certain way. They feel that Archie hasn't been given a title because of the colour of his skin.
we know that's not
Well,
true.
hang on a minute. So, Prince,
But you don't know that it's not true. Look, think about it.
can we just talk about this particular fact?
If we think about the possibility that what they're saying is true and that they were worried about how dark Archie would be, it's also a possibility that they might not want him to be a prince, they might not want him to have a title. And the thing is, shock horror, these things happen in life. Unfortunately, this is the way it goes sometimes. Everyone's acting like they're fully surprised. I can't say that I'm fully surprised to hear these allegations. You know, and it is important to, you know, to realise that sometimes, you know what, we don't even know we've got these problems in our family. You might have an all-white family, and one day someone of colour walks in, and you find out. I know, right?
Mr. Goddard yesterday said you find out, wait until one of your sons marries a black woman. I was like,
And do you know what it is? I wouldn't be surprised if one of your sons
what part of your knowledge to me would think I wouldn't embrace the world?
Yes, but the thing is, I'm not saying. That's what I'm saying. We have conversations on the show. We have conversations off the show. Okay, and I don't feel that you are a racist. I'm sorry. And if people say to me, "Piers Morgan, I will."
Sorry about that. I'm going to pause that there just to. Going to come back. There's only a couple more minutes left, to be honest. There's a minute left of that show. We'll come back to that in a minute. Because obviously I want to give my perspective on the allegations that's been made. So I'm mixed race to a degree. I'm quarter caste because my mum's half caste. But you know, if my dad having a laugh and joke, he's married to my mum, which is half caste. If he said to me what colour, and I went out with a mixed race girl, and he said to me what colour is my baby going to come out? To me, that's having a laugh and joke with, you know, your father or your mother or whatever, whoever said the allegation. I'm not jumping to conclusions saying it's Prince Philip or Prince Charles or Prince Philip. I don't know. No one knows. But it's a joke. It's a joke. It's not a harmful allegation. Is it in the wrong to ask that? I mean, should it be publicly scrutinised all over the media? I don't think it should. Personally, I don't think it should. Our everyday life's happenings in our home with our families. We have jokes and giggles and, you know, make up stories and have a laugh. It shouldn't be broadcasted over the media because now the royal family are jeopardising their own life before it being broadcast over the media. Their life could be a threat against. Obviously, hopefully there's not many terrorists around that are gonna you know, take it on board and make their life hell. Hopefully, you know, they're making a big mountain out of a molehill, basically, over the media, over the press, over with Piers Morgan shows me listening. Piers Morgan is a great guy. He's left his show, I believe, but he's a great guy. He's going to be massively missed for how he just confronts anything. He tries to litigate He's like a middleman, tries to litigate a lot of provocations caused. That's why I like him. He takes racism very not lightly at all. He takes it with remember Tommy Robinson, EDL group, setting up the fascist elite group, which caused absolute mayhem through not Watford, through Luton, smashing of Muslim windows, just colour windows. It is horrific. The group they set up. That's why it was never formed as a political policy. Absolute shambles, shambolic episode, and that is why he's living in Spain. Anyway, Christopher Steele, urgent need for laws to stop foreign influence. I mean, you can't jump on the bandwagon and say that's racist when you've got commitment like ECDL group. A lot of people went against the Black Lives Matter again. I can see exactly why they formed it, because in America, when I think it was a 13-year-old got killed on his own doorstep, shot on his own doorstep. And that's why they set up the Black Lives Matter. But obviously after that, with that Floyd as well getting shot by a white policeman, not shot, he got strangled with his knee by the white policeman in 2000 and I can't remember when it was even. I can't remember, that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? I believe. But that's why they set up the Black Lives Matter. But obviously, because they're so overcharged with anger, they caused a lot of trouble throughout America and London, smashing windows. Unfortunately, because they might have been a good formed political policy. It's a shame, because you think like people like Martin Luther King, all the greats that made Black Lives Matter, how they used to get treated to what they are today is a total different outset of life. They used to have to sit on the back of the bus. They had to sit at the back of the bus like slaves, like different. It's not fair. Anyway, moving on. UK urgently needs new legislation to restrict foreign influence over its government and institutions, according to ex-M16 officer Christopher Steele. Mr. Steele, who completed a dossier on the former US President Donald Trump's ties to Moscow, told the BBC that Russia and China were the greatest concerns. He's called for those working on behalf of foreign countries to be registered like they are in the US and Australia. Home Office says such a scheme will be part of the forthcoming legislation, Mr. Steele told BBC. Wow. The word is out that we are a bit of a soft touch, that we don't have regulators with teeth and we don't have legislation which is up to date and fit for purpose. The former spy was behind the so-called Trump-Russia dossier, which was released in 2017. I think it's dossier, it's spelled dossier, and alleged that there had been a collision between Moscow and Mr. Trump's 2016 election campaign. Its claims sparked controversy and lawsuit, and Mr. Steele remained unwilling to discuss it in detail with the BBC. But he did warn that the UK was in a worse position than the US when it came to foreign influence of public life. He said the US, unlike the UK, had the tools in the form of the legislation to go after those secretly work on behalf of the foreign nations. He pointed specifically to its Foreign Agent Registration Act, which has been the model for recent Australian legislation. We are way behind our allies, he has said. What are the threats? The threat comes from traditional espionage, undercover agents stealing secrets from governments, but from people who wield influence to serve the agenda of foreign governments without being open about it. There's a lack of transparency in Britain about the way in which foreign actors, and particularly those emanating from authoritarian states, are exerting influence over policies. Mr. Steele has said Russia's goals include lobbying to keep Russian individuals off sanction lists and discussing who was behind particular businesses, he added. He urged that China's influence was more diffuse and concentrated in areas like academia. Mr. Steele said there was a risk that if the UK become dependent on money from China, in these areas, it would be less likely to criticise Beijing's behaviour. Some parts of the economy have become over independent of foreign money, Mr. Steele said, and professionals in the UK need to be more diligent about knowing who their clients were. Russia has previously denied allegations of interference. Last summer, a report from the Intelligence and Security Committee (ISC) on Russian activity in the UK called for new powers to counter the influence which the government has said it is looking at. Mr. Steele argued for individuals working on behalf of foreign states should be required to register. When you talk about foreign agents in the instance, you're not talking about people who are committing treason or selling secrets to the Russians or the Chinese. We're talking about their agents, in the sense of people who are pursuing their agenda in the UK for money, he said. This including PR companies, lobbyists, law firms, and even Steele acknowledged private intelligence companies like his own if they are carried out work on behalf of foreign governments. He said the intention was not to ban lobbying on behalf of the foreign governments, which can be legitimate, but to make it transparent and accountable. Registering foreign agents. Conservative MP Bob Seeley issued a report last month from the Henry Jackson Society think tank calling a foreign lobbying act which would require foreign agents and their proxies to register. Mr. Steele, who said he had briefed MPs on the issues, said there needed to be criminal sanctions for failing to register. Otherwise, there would be risk that any fine would be factored in the cost of doing business. The new Australian law passed in 2018 amid concerns over Chinese influence, including penalties of 6 to 5 years in prison for failing to register or providing misleading information. Mr. Steele also thinks the definition of foreign agent needs to be broadly drawn to capture influence in areas like academia and the media, although he believes the government and politics remain top targets. Politics is the ultimate goal of the authoritarian states we're talking about and their influence operations, because ultimately it's governments that make decisions about legislation and it's governments that take decisions about imposing sanctions, he said. The risk of not taking action, Mr. Steele believes, is that influence will grow to the point where it prevents sanctions being imposed on Russia and China. The former intelligence officer questioned why the ICS recommendations had not yet been implemented. I think it's very urgent, and I'm surprised in a way that more hasn't been done about it since the ISC report came out, he said. Mr. Steele said he was worried that the post-Brexit drive for investment would make it harder to clamp down on such activities with risks for integrity of institutions. Eventually, in long term, they will lose out because people will realise that your country has been compromised, he added. The Home Office said the government would introduce a foreign agent registration scheme as part of the forthcoming legislation to counter hostile activity by the states. This follows consideration of similar laws in like-minded countries, including the US and Australia, the statement has added. Thank you ever much for coming through, ladies and gents, supporting the cast. We going to the constituency of Hatfield. We're looking at the Welland Hatfield time. They've got a friendship senior citizen house where you go in for lunch, and you know, if you're like a homeless person, you need people be surrounded by people to make you feel entertaining a community faculty. Friendship House in Hatfield will undergo an options or and close until summer, when a report on the various options for the centre will be presented to Cabinet. Yesterday, when Hatfield Borough Council's Cabinet addressed the overview of the Scrutiny Committee's question about whether they would consider. However, the Cabinet agreed not to do this, believing it is against the interest of transparency and fairness, need to have sufficient funding to meet the obligations of structural repairs, and including a complete rebuild. When the property leaving Friendship House and has said it is happy to help refer users to the lunch and social club at the Hive. The Hatfield and Town too. District Hatfield and district age concern to Hearts Independent Living Service, as they believe this should be enabled to essential community service to continue operate from Friendship House in Hatfield, particularly for the elderly. That's that Friendship House is a big thing in Hatfield. Giving the community to work with, giving people aspirations in life. The homeless people, they've got nothing left in life. Having friends and meeting in a community area gives them another light at life, giving them another guidance of life, meeting people that are also struggling. You need compassion in life to get through every day. Seeing someone else struggling in the same light as you helps you get through your day. So it's very important to keep the Friendship House open in Hatfield. John Lewis warns of painful store closures. Warns of painful store closures. If you're an occupant or a worker, a co-worker in John Lewis, you could be losing your job. Retail giant John Lewis has warned of further painful store closure after pandemic saw a report of its first ever annual loss. The group swung to a loss of 570 million for the year to January, against profits of 146 the previous year. The retailer said it does not expect all of its department stores to reopen once lockdown restrictions ease. It has previously been reported the chain was considering closing up to 8 more stores to try and cut the costs. Any further closures would be in addition to 8 already announced in 2020. It did not say how many of its 42 John Lewis shops were under threat, but said it was a small number. Talks with landlords are ongoing. It will make the rise in internet shopping, accelerated by various lockdown measures amid the coronavirus pandemic, has forced John Lewis to rethink how many stores it needs. John Lewis said that before the pandemic, it judged that every £6 and £10 spent on the websites was driven by the shops. That figure is now £3 and £10, it is said. John Lewis is a major store, isn't it? It is a big store, John Lewis. It's like a Debenhams, John Lewis, but it's got furniture and stuff in it as well. It's quite a big store, and I'm sure it will be hugely missed. It will be massively missed. Hello there. Chairman Sharon White told the BBC that decision to close the stores was painful but necessary due to a decade of changing shopping habits once in a year. There is no getting away from the fact that some areas can no longer profitably sustain a John Lewis store, she added in a statement. Regrettably, we do not expect to reopen all our John Lewis stores at the end of lockdown, which will also have implications for our Simply chain. We do everything we can do to lessen the impact, and we continue to provide community funds to support local areas. We want to ensure our stores reflect how customers want to stop white place. Reinvention for the digital age. Sharon White driving seat just weeks before the pandemic, and swiftly had to make some tough decisions, closing the stores, slashing jobs and cutting costs. She also had to tell partners that the first time in more than 50 years they wouldn't receive their much cherished annual bonus. These 12 months have clearly focused minds on how many big department stores despite lockdown restrictions. John Lewis sales were flat last year. In other words, it managed to transfer all those lost sales from the high street to online. Its website business was already strong, and it predicts 70% of the sales will be online from 2025. But another raft of store closure is a real blow for the towns that they are based in. Some will think it's going too far. There could be an opportunity for it to add sales, given that so many of its rivals have either beaten or had retreated or despaired together. John Lewis went on to expansion spree back in 2007, almost doubling the number of stores in its portfolio, and said as it is, it's now set to rein those numbers in Sharon White to try to rebalance her store estate and reinvent their business for digital for digital age. John Lewis' hefty annual loss was mainly due to the write-down in the value of in-stores because the shift to shopping. As restructuring and redundancy costs, the group announced last July it was closing John Lewis in Birmingham, Croydon, Watford, Newbury, Swindon and Tamworth, as well as the smaller hubs at St Pancras and Heathrow, with the loss of 1,300 jobs. In September, John Lewis also announced it was scrapping its staff bonus for the first time since 1953. The partnership, which also runs Waitrose supermarkets, is now targeting savings of $300 million a year by 2022. In addition to closing some John Lewis stores, the group is trialling running dedicated John Lewis shopping areas in some Waitrose supermarkets. Where my computer is. Waitrose benefited from a jump in demand for online delivery as people sought to minimise trips to the supermarket. John Lewis said that the Waitrose website was taking about 2,400 orders a week. 240,000 orders a week and now stand at 1 billion sales business. Rates relief increased demand for groceries, however, did not offset problems at the group's department stores. As John Lewis confirmed that it would not return the business rates relief it received from the government during the COVID crisis. It said it had claimed $190 billion in combined rates relief and support on the furlough scheme, and it would claim businesses' rates relief between April and June. It said on the holiday from the tax levied and non-domestic properties have helped it avoid a more severe restructuring of the partnership, which would have put more jobs at risk at a time when a high street is already under pressure. We are not out of the crisis yet, and the economic environment remains extremely uncertain, it added. Grocers such as Morrisons, Tesco's, and Asda said in December they would return more than $1.7 billion in rates relief. This came after supermarkets whose sales have boomed in crisis were criticised for taking government help while paying. Those gatherings were sponsored by O2 Devices and PSS Alliance. I just want to say thank you for everyone coming supporting the show. You know, it means a lot. It does mean an awful a lot to me. Absolutely. Got a bit of a slight error going on here. Not sure what's going on. Just gonna have to open another window. 2 seconds. Also, we're sponsored. We've got another sponsor, not just O2 Network provides best broadband. But we're also sponsored by a neurology company, Stress Release. Anyone suffers stress? They sell vitamin C. They send all kind of stress relief items in the store. I'm going to give you the website. It's have a look through. There's a lot of things. Back massaging chair, keeping all your I'm going to go on it now just to give you the details so you can have a little look through the store. It's a friend of mine's store. She's got a store in Antigua, in Essex. Plus, I'll give you the other sponsors as well, PSSI Alarms. Very important. I'll give you those two main sponsors for the show. As we're part of the Aristocracy Social League, we've got more members and support coming through, listening to our show daily, which is very important. We multiply the listeners. I've got over, every time I do a broadcast, every time I advertise, you listeners are taken on board. So I'm going to repeat. That's what I do anyway. There we go. So, have you got the world's award-winning #1 vitamin C liquid? It gets into your bloodstream faster and quicker than any other vitamin C in the world. Want to inspire and not expire. All of yours today to become optimistic. Vitamin C is very good for your intelligence. 7 impressive ways vitamin C benefits your body. May reduce your risk for chronic disease. May help high blood pressure. May lower your risk of heart disease. May reduce blood uric acid levels and help prevent gout attacks. Helps prevent iron deficiency, boost immunity, protect your memory and thinking as you age. Come and check out relax-uk.com. It's not just got vitamin C, but obviously vitamin C is a big part of relaxing your mind. I'll just give all the details there. It's called relax-uk.com. Very, very important, guys, that you take this on board and have a little look through. And that vitamin C is the best. I've got a pot of it myself. I've got a pot of it, and I tell you what, I feel 10 times better. Although I feel tired today because of my heating come on. My heating come on, so I've had a good lay in this morning. I didn't get up at my usual 7 o'clock, which I usually do. And also, we are proudly sponsored by PSS Alarms. It's very ethical and pragmatic work carried out. All areas covered, including central station monitoring provided. All work's done according to insurance requirements. This is a friend of mine's company which has carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmom's house in Hertfordshire, ethical works in Essex, such as Casbah Restaurant, and many more businesses. All over England, you can travel with travel. Probably, something being in contract with business rates. Please give Tarek Khan a call on 07908 216 142. Installation and maintenance of intruder alarms, fire alarms, CCTV. All work guaranteed and certified to a SSAIB standard 24-hour call-out service. Can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setups. Secure your business. Professor Johnson for extra discount. Secure your home, secure your business. Your safety and priorities within your business are paramount. So Johnson for a discount. If you want to hear that again, it's on my YouTube channel as well. Proclamation. The festival is now due to return on Sunday, September the 5th, which is have put back the festival due to coronavirus restrictions, and it will now take over Hatfield Park on Sunday, September 41. And Don Bronco will return as headline from all over England to go there. I'm surmising. With over 2 months during the festival, we certainly do new dates before we announce them. Now we can reveal these, as I'm so happy. So many can make 2-1 and Don Bronco appearing also A, Basement, Blood Youth, Barry Tomo, Chunk, No Captain, Chunk, Comeback Kid, Counterparts, Crown the Empire, Days and Days, These Nuts, Dolskin, Dream State, Escape the Fate, Face to Face, 4 Years Strong, Free Foe, Hacktivist, Ice 9 Kills, Mavolence, Mayday Parade, Me First, and Gimme Gimmes. Movements, Novex, Wendy, Pennywise, Pops of Chilltown, Real Big Fish, Rhyme Snuff, Spun, State Champs, Static Dress, Stray from the Path, The Baboon Show, The Bottom Line, Story of So Far, Vandals, Wildlife, The Trash Boat, Fukovi, Wargasm, We Are in the Crowd, While She Sleeps, With Confidence, You're the Miss, Zebrahead. My goodness, that is September the 5th on Sunday. Thank you for all my loyal listeners. Really appreciate it. Part of the Aristoxy Social League, giving you the updated journalism day in, day out. Thank you for my loyal listener, always listening on YouTube, the one person there. But all in total, I've got 600 listeners. Thank you ever so much. Have a wonderful day. The sun's shining. Get out for a nice, short, brisk walk. God bless. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. See you tomorrow. God bless.